I
That's
don't
kind of
know
what I
though.
think.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm not sure either. What about social media? I mean, do you think it's easier with the existence of like TikTok and Instagram, like coming up in the business? Like, does that provide more opportunities to get your thing, YouTube and everything? Or is it like harder now? Because like you say, you were in your black hole and you don't want to read, you know, the Inquirer, everything from the 80s. Now it's like, I don't know. How does that change the coming up in the business?
I've not, I know that all the kids are online and all the kids are doing the TikTok and all of the different things. I know that you can use Instagram to promote something that you're doing, that you could probably, I guess, make a little film and post it on there. I think there are positive aspects to being able to be online like that for young people coming out, being able to create their own content and, you know, get their work out there, get themselves out there on their own. There's a little bit more, I won't say ownership, but there's just a, I'm looking for a word, it's not coming to me, but they have a more of a chance to just make things happen in that way, I think. I'm not on social media now at all. So I'm not really, but I have on Instagram, I have a private Instagram account because I'm not putting myself out there trying to, you know, make ads for myself on Instagram. I'm way too old for all that and I don't care. But I do go on there to see what the kids from the show are posting and to see what my son is posting. Like, unfortunately for him.
Does your son know that you do this? Do the kids from the show know that you do this?
Yes. I had to ask him if I could follow him, if he would mind. And he said, yeah, as long as you don't give me any feedback that isn't positive. I just, you know, everybody's got everything out there. It's different than it used to be, but I do like seeing what he's doing, you know? So yes, I check him out.
I was going to say, I know you're not on Instagram because once I knew we were sitting down, I'm like, I looked for you on Instagram. I'm like, oh my God. And then I did another search. I'm like, wait a second. Like after 3 searches, you're like, Ali Sheedy is not on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's just not for you. Like you would never, like Jennifer Aniston joined after years, the whole world like celebrated. Like, it's just not for you, Instagram.
It's not for me. It feels, I just feel like I've aged out of this, you know. I don't know how to make it work anyway. I don't know how you do anything on Instagram. So no, I just like looking at what other people do.
You're better off.
Check in, see.
You're better off. I always say if it wasn't for this job here, like I'm on social media just for this job. If I went away tomorrow, you would never see me online again. So I think you're better off. It's a lot.
Yeah. No.
Well, let's talk about high art.
Okay.
Last night I was speaking to a friend of mine and I was on speakerphone. And when I told her that I was speaking to you today, her and her wife screamed on the top of their lungs, high art. And they just were overwhelmed with excitement. And all they wanted me to talk to you about was high art. But I love high art. So what was that experience like? And going from, like you said, like War Games was huge and like The Breakfast Club, St. Elmo's Fire, like to, this little indie movie that turned out to be so, first of all, amazing and just critically acclaimed. And I mean, what was that like?
Well, at that time, so this is like the late 90s, the indie film scene was really taking off. So there were a lot of super interesting creative things happening. All the film festivals were new. I think it was different than it is now. But yeah, the Lisa script, Cholodenko script came along. I fell in love with that role. I really wanted to be able to play that part. I auditioned, and then it worked out. And it was, there's a few jobs that you have. There's a few roles that will come along in a career. At least for me, that would be my most favorite roles or films. That is certainly one of them. Also, again, working on the film was an absolute joy. The cast, Lisa, everybody, the writing, the way they were shooting it, it was just, I didn't know how the film was going to turn out, but I was loving every moment of playing Lucy. That's for sure.
Any highlights of that? Like, just, is there any like fun thing from set or something that sticks out in your mind?
Patty Clarkson, Patricia Clarkson is so brilliant and so imaginative and so she just has this wild freedom about her. I had so much trouble in some of the scenes with Patricia because she would just make me laugh or come up with some line. That accent that she had and that whole character, what she did with that whole character, that the really fun moments. I remember a lot of things filming that I loved filming, but the moments that make me smile when I think about them are the moments when Patty would just come out with something and it was impossible. It was almost impossible to just stay in there because she's hysterical.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. And your character wasn't exactly someone who was cracking jokes every other scene, so.
No. And the thing was, we would be in the rhythm with each other and it was in there with Lucy and the whole thing. And it was all working. It was all great. And then I would go off camera. It was the close up on Patty. And suddenly she would do something or have some moment. And it was just almost impossible to keep quiet. I would be sitting there and Lisa would be next to me, just like shaking with laughter and trying not to make any noise.
That's so funny.
I know.
Well, being from New York City myself, I have to say, I saw you at the James Street Theater Playhouse in Hedwig in the Angry Inch. I was there.
Oh, great.
What was that like? I mean, you were the first woman to play this role. I mean, when you think at this point, of Ali Sheedy, everything, you don't think like, okay, this is like I call it like a rock opera, like this character, like how did this part come to you? What did you love about, like, talk to me about the Hedwig experience.
So it was, there's so many different things going on there. So I had been at Sundance for, I think it was the screenwriters workshop. I'm not sure, but anyway, John Cameron Mitchell was there developing Hedwig into a movie. Into a movie. I think it was a director's workshop, I'm not sure. And we really got along and I watched the video of his stage of him as Hedwig. And loved it. How can you not fall in love with him? And so then we were talking and he had this idea that it could be interesting if I tried it. The problem is that I don't have that. Two things. One, I don't have that voice, and Hedwig needs to have that rock voice, right? So I did my best, but it's not there. And the other thing is now I understand that actually there was something that was that was not okay about a woman playing that part, which has to do with gender and transgender and a whole other thing going on that I have a lot more insight into it now, but at the time I really didn't. So, all sorts of mixed bags in there. I wish I had a rock opera voice, but I loved the monologue. It took a big leap of faith to play that part. It took a lot of courage.